Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Sliced Bread. So in this video I thought we'll take a look at the three leading streaming platforms out there, Netflix, Hulu and Prime Video. Let's get right down to it. So this video is firstly not to compare the content library of these platforms, but more about how they've approached the product design and the various metrics that they follow. So Netflix, let's start off with that, until recently had an outdated look, a UI UX that was begging to be revamped. But they were accessible across many devices, making it easy for people to view their favorite TV shows and movies online. The same goes with Hulu as well as Prime Video as well, but Netflix has done some things a little bit different. So until recently, believe it or not, Netflix mobile app did not have a forward button on their video player. I think this is down to their business metric of having as many hours viewed per user than the other two platforms out there. The other thing that's notable about Netflix is the heavy investment they've made into personalization. So much so that when you open Netflix's homepage and you're seeing a TV show like Stranger Things, somebody else who opens Netflix and looks up the Stranger Things thumbnail, they could actually be seeing two different images. And I think the reason to do that is if you prefer a certain genre of content like horror, you will see a thumbnail that depicts horror, whereas someone else who likes crime or thriller might see a thumbnail that depicts crime and thriller. So this is a slightly different way that Netflix has approached content discoverability. Whereas when you look at Hulu, and you will see that as soon as you open the application, it's a much more cleaner, simpler UI, and they have sort of used the same language, the design language in their smart TV applications as well. However, when you compare the recommendations between Netflix and Hulu, you'll see that Hulu's recommendation is not as powerful as Netflix is. The library of content that Netflix has is probably not as big as what Hulu has, and which is why they're not able to personalize or recommend as much as what Netflix would be able to do. And this impacts content discoverability in a big way. When it comes to Hulu, I've had to rely on word of mouth with friends and colleagues recommending TV shows rather than going to the platform and seeing what's recommended for me. So that's Hulu. Let's talk about Prime Video here. There's a bit of a surprise with Prime Video because I think it's similar in many ways to Hulu in the sense that its recommendation is not as powerful, which is a bit of a surprise because it's Amazon and they are the ones who sort of made customers who bought this also bought this a mainstream that a lot of other companies ended up copying. But when it comes to Prime Video, I don't see that. I don't see the level of personalization or recommendation that Netflix has. And probably it comes down to the library of content that I mentioned earlier. But all in all, I think that might change and it might get a lot better with more data, with more people subscribing to Prime as well as watching these their favorite TV shows and movies. So in many respects, I want to say that they're still in a sort of an MVP phase when it comes to Prime Video. And it has to evolve from an experience point of view. Whereas right now, I think they're focusing a lot on going to market, fixing bugs and competing with other platforms, and also adding a lot of library of content, but not really focusing on the user experience. So in a nutshell, I think Netflix's approach has been to prioritize hours spent on the platform rather than the user experience, although that has changed very recently. If you look at the app, it's extremely tastefully well designed. It is it's well presented to a millennial, and I feel that Hulu has it comes close in terms of user experience, keeping it clean. But when it comes to Prime Video, I feel that their UI is outdated and it needs to improve. When it comes to personalization, Netflix is number one. There's no question about it. I'm a little bit torn between Prime Video and Hulu. I do feel like Prime Video has the muscle in order to pull off what Netflix has, but it's going to take some time to build that content and then be able to personalize for the user experience. So you can clearly see that the product approach has been very different for these three platforms, and I hope you are able to connect with it as well. So thank you for watching this episode. If you like it, do share. See you very soon in the next episode of The Sliced Bread.